Hey guys, and welcome to my channel and to this video. Today we will be painting again bird on a blossom tree. I did draw my sketch earlier, so it is available for download from my website. You can find the link in the description box, download it for yourself and just join in. Also, all the materials I will be using in this video are listed in the description, so if you're interested in something, want to see what I'm using as paper, brushes, paints, you can find that in the description box together with the links if there are links for the products. First, I did pre-wet the entire paper, and as you can see, again, I did not tape it around my painting. I don't want harsh edges, just where the paint goes, it goes. I started with a little bit of the brownish color and yellow, first yellow splatters, then a little bit of the brownish color in the lower part and some green. This is a lighter green, something like a sap green, to paint in the leaves. And since the paint is wet and the paper is wet, the paint is bleeding all around, so that's fine. I do want that a little bit looser look, so I'm just tapping in with the tip of my brush, adding paints, pink for the blossoms and also a little bit of the splatters just to make everything look looser. And this is a light blue, again from my collection of colors, and with that I'm painting in the bird's little robin, and the bird is actually again bleeding from outside. If you watched my previous video, same thing I did there on the wet paper. It doesn't matter because I will pick up with a dry towel. Right now you can see I'm just going around the bird, and with a dry towel I will pick up that excess paint that bleeds outside, and I won't be able to pick up all the paint. You can see a slight light blue around my bird, but that's fine. That's something that makes it look like it's slightly shining, you know, some light is there, reflection play with the light. I guess that's something I see. So I do like that. I don't want to harsh edges also around the bird because she has feathers. I'm saying she, well, I guess it's a she, even though it's a blue bird, but you know, it's a she, and it has feathers, so the edges aren't harsh, they are a little bit feathered, and that's something that you can achieve also with those light bleeds. Next to the blue, I'm using some yellow, some light brown and black for my bird. Again, you can see paint is bleeding all around, that's fine, creating that feathery effect. I'm picking up the paint where I see it went too much, but I'm not gonna pick up everything. Now the paint where the leaves and flowers are started to dry slightly, I'm adding in a little bit more of the green. It still is bleeding, but in some parts it's staying within the leaves, so creating those harsher edges. A little bit of a light brown going on top of my leaves, just to create more interest, just to make them, as I said, a little bit more interesting with multicolored. And some pink. This is mix of Pretty Pink from Etchr palette and My Skin Pink from my pastel colors, and I'm adding a little bit of that pretty saturated color and then rinsing my brush and with a clean water just moving that paint around, creating some well, I guess a lighter part to make it look like one part is in the shadow, one in the light, and also some parts of those flowers are lighter, some darker. Tapping in a little bit more of the saturated pigment here and there, again to create same effect. Also same thing on the other side. And not all of those flowers are going to be drawn in the sketch. Don't be bothered too much with the sketch, just make it as your guide. You don't have to paint every single leaf in the sketch or every single blossom in the sketch, or you can add yours, that's also fine. You know, whatever you like. This is, again, as I said, a loose painting, so just add or take out whatever you like. Again, same thing as for the previous painting. I'm leaving the part around the bird lighter. I don't want to paint the blossom all around the bird, just on its left and right side, and just leaving that part in the center lighter to make that bird pop. a little bit more of the details to my leaves and flowers, and that's just up to you. If you want to add more details, you can. If you don't want to add details, that's also fine. A little bit more of the yellow to make that bird match with its value and saturation to match the blossom around it. We don't want the blossom to be more saturated and the bird quite light. We do want it to match. A little bit of the blue, black, painting her legs. And you know what, guys, I realized I really don't like painting legs of the birds and its claws and all that. Just, well, for some reason I don't like that, so I've painted it quite loose and just make it look like there are some feet and claws and or her legs there, and not really bothering myself with the details. I realized that actually a lot earlier. Before, every time I'm painting a bird, I'm just trying to hide her legs and her claws. I don't like that. I don't like painting that. A little bit more of the blue and black in the upper part on her head. And again, when the paint is wet, it is bleeding slightly, but that's fine because it is creating that feather effect. If it's not, if your paint is dry, your paper is dry, you can just use a clean water, go around the edge and just smooth that edge out and make it more feathery. A little bit more details to her belly and body, and also to her feet. You can see right now what I'm talking about. I'm just skipping that part. Her beak, and a little bit more details beneath it with black. And I will be adding more details with ink pen at the end. But again, that's just up to a preference. If you don't want to add that, you don't have to. Some details on her tail, and also for the branch I'm using this lighter brown. And as you can see, I'm not trying to be super precise with the branch either. I'm painting it quite loosely and painting in the upper part a little bit darker and lower part a little bit lighter. This time using some black. And with those two colors, I'm painting in some smaller branches around the bird. And also I will be painting stems of those little blossoms, leaves with same colors. And for that, I'm using this brush. This is from Lebenzon brushes, and it is super for some very thin lines, for the branches, for some wiggly lines, you know, to create those nice and beautiful branch textures. I'm just adding them in, connecting some of the flowers, some of the blossoms, and some of the leaves, not all of them, adding a little bit more of the black to my branch. And I will paint, I did paint all those little stems for the leaves and the blossoms. As I said, they do not all have to be connected. All the stems don't have to be visible, just few of them to make it look like there are some little stems. Tapping in a very, very saturated pink, same color combination, Pretty Pink from Etchr and Skin Pink Light Pink for my collection. And quite saturated. I do want those splatters to be quite dark, so just use a very, very saturated colors. And also for the yellow, again, quite saturated. You can see how the colors are very, very visible. And a little bit more of the details to the bird. First adding more yellow. I do want to make it more saturated. Blue, this is something like an ultramarine to her head and her legs. Just make her same color value, same saturation as those splatters, as those blossoms. And now I will just add some finishing details to the bird with ink pen. This is from Pigma Micron ink pen, and just painting her eyes. If you don't have a ink pen, you don't have to use ink pen. You can do this with watercolors. I did want to make it quite dark, and of course it is a lot easier to achieve those very thin lines and details with ink pen than with a brush. But of course, if you don't have an ink pen, you can use watercolors and your brush. And I will be adding a little bit more of the watercolors on top. So if you have an ink pen that is not a waterproof or maybe a gel pen, well, just make sure that you don't add watercolors on top anymore because it will smudge. And of course, make sure that your bird and everything around is dry before you use ink pen on top. It has to be dry. You could just ruin your ink pen if you use it on a wet paper, and also it won't have the same effect, nice effect as and precision as if the paper is dry. A little bit more of the details again to her feet, around her eyes. Just want to create that feathery look, so don't have harsh straight lines, just make them sketchy, broken, and to create the feather effect. A little bit of the white Posca pen to add some highlights around her eyes. You can use here gel pen if you don't have a Posca pen, or a white gouache. And a few more details with watercolors. As I said earlier, I will be adding watercolors on top, so few more details around her eyes with this time quite saturated blue, just again to match those values around the bird and on her belly. And avoiding straight line around the bird, around her body, head, you are actually achieving the feather effect. So you don't have to be very, very precise and try to make those lines around straight. A little bit more of the details with Posca pen, white pen, again to create the feather look. And a little bit more of the yellow on top, some brownish color. And a few splatters with this dark brown around the bird. I thought it could look nice, just around it. I'm not going to go everywhere else. And a little bit more of the yellow splatters around. I will smudge them slightly on her head, just again to add one more color to her head, to add that yellow. And with that, I'll be finishing off this painting in this video. I hope you enjoyed this one also as the previous ones, and I hope we will enjoy a lot more in the spring series. And thank you guys a lot for watching, for all your support. If you do like this video, please hit the like button, share it, and comment. If you haven't still, please do subscribe to my channel. That would be awesome. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!